money and what makes sense.
Good morning.
So, Paul, is this really a bad thing that we have less stuff?
Well, I'm having a hard time adjusting to less stuff,
me too.
but, not necessarily. Our kids today, and I'm speaking from the framework of my own 3 children, often have a sense of entitlement. I mean, they've gotten used to seeing or owning cell phones and maybe laptops and iPods and Xboxes and PlayStation 3s and things like that. So, kids need to embrace what we're embracing, the adults, is that, we're in for leaner times. Adults are thinking maybe we scale back vacation this year. Maybe, and some of this impacts the kids. We might need to scale back on their college plans, or, spring's around the corner. We may need to scale back what prom looks like. Maybe you take Dad's car instead of renting a limo.
That's a scary thing for kids sometimes to deal with that.
They love these limos.
I know.
Yeah.
But how can you also help them deal with this, and what advice do you have for the children?
How to actually integrate it into their minds. Well, I think there's a couple of things to include kids in the belt-tightening process. One's going to be a shift for the adults, and that's cut back on using the plastic, because that to a kid sends a message of, oh, there's magic money in that little card. Using cash. I've just tried to be more conscious of using cash to pay for things, even instead of a debit card, which is like writing a check. Encourage them to make some money, part-time jobs, even if mom and dad are the employer. If you're having to say no more frequently, I think it's good to explain sometimes the basis for the no, even though you think they may not understand, to explain it to them. One of the biggest things I think parents can do, Brittany, is practice open book management. In other words, tell your kids, share with them about your financial life. This is our income. These are our bills. And sometimes you don't have to be explicit if you're uncomfortable. But, these are the things, the financial responsibilities we have to meet each month. So they start to gain some appreciation of what it costs to live. And that includes asking them, as mom and dad are doing, asking them to cut back on some discretionary spending.
Can it be sometimes a fine line, though, because I'm sure you don't want to scare your children and put all this emotional, heavy adult stuff on their shoulders, but there's maybe a line you can walk?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is an area I think, the psychological community's, been commenting on recently, and, they recognize that parents often, are the nurturer. They're sheltering their kids. They don't want them to know about pain or suffering or sacrifice. But, experts expect kids to rise to the occasion, and that they'll want to participate, that they'll want to help in terms of, absorbing what's going on. We were out walking on the County Greenway last weekend, one of the greenways, and my 10-year-old was asking me questions. I don't know how he got on the conversation, but he was asking me questions like, what is a recession? How does the economy work? We had a fascinating 15-minute conversation just about that, and I let it go as far as he wanted it to. So I think we underestimate just how much they understand, and don't think that they don't notice if you're under stress. And so it's good to share with them, talk with them. They don't mind brown bagging a lunch instead of paying for lunch, or just doing a home gathering instead of going to a movie and Steak and Shake.
Well, communication is the key. Thank you very much, Paul. We appreciate it.
Good to see you.
And now for your morning sports, here's Chris Budden.